Thank you for those who have logged in on the Zoom and those of you who may be on the live. My name is Jeffrey Deshawn Richardson, and I am the founder of Inspired Muse Coaching and Management and the visionary creator behind the Opportunity Zone sessions and the announcement of the two projects that we're going to feature today. I want to start off by sharing just a little bit about myself and my background and what brings me to launching Inspired Muse Coaching and Management and beginning these particular two new platforms to connect folks who are particularly Black folks in community who are launching social enterprise ventures and looking for investment and partnership. My background is I'm a social worker by training. I have a master's in social work from the Howard University and began my career in early childhood in child and youth services. I'm mostly working with children and youth in school and community settings. And through that work, I began to have a desire to work with partners in community who were looking to solve community problems and engage those in community who were most impacted by those problems. And through that work, I had the opportunity to work with local foundations here in Washington, D.C. around child and youth services and out of school time programming and how we engage children, youth, and families in community through community anchors like community centers and rec centers and our schools to be able to address many of the disparity needs and poverty and inequity needs that we see across our communities. And that work led me to have the opportunity to work in the government here in Washington, D.C. under the leadership of the former mayor of the District of Columbia, Vincent C. Gray, as the director of the Mayor's Office of LGBTQ Affairs, as well as the first Chief Service Officer for the District of Columbia, and serving as the Executive Director of the Mayor's Office of Volunteerism, which was the DC Commission for National and Community Service. And in those roles, I was tasked with helping constituents and community groups engage with our city government apparatus to solve problems that they identified, to address disparity needs for minority communities, such as the LGBTQ community, the African American community, young adults, older Americans, and engaging with their government to be able to solve problems and come together with our corporate private sector partners to enact sustainable solutions. And through that work, I began to see that while we have a long way to go across our institutions, and particularly in government, to make sure that things are running effective and highly and efficient, engaging the right folks in community and solving key problems that have been identified by folks on the ground in community, I discovered that when you brought individuals together from across sectors within government and community partners who had the direct information, as well as in collaboration with corporate partners, and we found common ground and common goals, that we were able to break through barriers that had been in place structurally and culturally to being able to solve key problems within community. And that experience ignited a fire into me to engage with leaders, young leaders across this country to do just that. And I had the opportunity to work with an organization called the Center for Progressive Leadership, where I had the opportunity to support the continued training and development of another generation of amazing young leaders who are leading amazing work in nonprofit and social sector enterprises across this country. And so through that work and through work internationally, through travels abroad, I have founded Inspired Muse Coaching and Management as a coaching and management practice seeking to support social enterprise leaders and cross-sector leaders who are looking to not only get to their economic win, right, their business enterprise win solution, but to leverage their business enterprise solution and innovation to solve, to build the capacity of individuals across community and to help solve pressing problems within community that we know individuals on the ground who are impacted by those problems can solve and build sustainable solutions for if they had the right strategic partnerships and investment. And over the last 2 years, I've had the opportunity to work with partners as we've begun this journey to engage across sectors, across political divides, across social, economic, and cultural divides, to begin to forge new pathways for us to, as individuals and as community members and as organizations and as citizens, to come together, not through our titles or our particular constituency lenses, but from the lens of people, to collectively bring together the resources that are needed to address many of these sustainable gaping problems in our community that we know can be solved through innovation and collaboration. And we have seen that across sectors and across industry. And there's the opportunity and continued opportunity, looking at the work that's been done across our philanthropic sector for years and building upon new apparatuses that have been built when we look at the particularly millennial and post-millennial generation who are working to solve problems in new ways and looking for forging new collaborations that can build new sustainable pathways for all. And so Inspired Muse Coaching and Management has been a hub to bring together community partners, professionals in the coaching apparatus, coaching sector and advising sector, to begin to help support nonprofits and those who are in social enterprise who are particularly focused on launching initiatives that are addressing problems that are impacting our most vulnerable in community, and particularly those when we look at young adults who are starting their life and older Americans who are transitioning into the next phase of that life that continue to have so much to give and contribute to our communities and our sustainability. And these opportunity zone sessions will be an opportunity where at least once a month or every 2 weeks, we're going to announce an opportunity zone session where we will have a venture leader share their enterprise. And some of these venture leaders are focused on social enterprise solutions that are community-based. And some of these enterprises are business enterprise focused. But at the goal have the focus on being able to build community and strengthen community so that we are able to leverage both business enterprise and the community engagement and community-based organization apparatuses that have been built across the Black community and other communities of color and other marginalized communities to address short and long-term goals. And so looking to connect those networks of individuals in business and social enterprise and begin to develop the infrastructure needed to support some long-term change. And so that's what these opportunity zone sessions will be. We'll have a new venture leader featured, at least one or two each for each session. After they make their presentation, individuals will be able to ask questions via the Zoom meeting platform that we'll be using and live. As well as being able to request additional information. The announcement of the Opportunity Zone session will go out at least a week in advance, if not more, from the particular session. Then those interested in learning more about that particular venture in advance of that session will be able to send an email and request that venture profile or that prospectus if you are interested in getting information prior to the Opportunity Zone session. So here I want to pause and I will go into my slide presentation about the two ventures that are powering this initiative under the coordination of Inspired Muse Coaching and Management. And that's what's featured: the Equality Core Community Health Worker Project, which is our health equity focused initiative project, and then the Black Equity ConFab, which is the enterprise that we're using to bring together Black and people of color venture leaders with investors and other partners, strategic partners, who might be able to help them launch and scale. We want to share my presentation screen now. All right. So yes, the Opportunity Zone sessions there will be a session held at least once a month. We're looking at every 2 weeks. We have venture profile leaders that are submitting profiles coming in, asking for the opportunity to present. And so we will have one at least every 2 weeks or once a month based upon those venture leader interests that we have received. So we're going to start today with an overview of the Equality Core. As I mentioned, the Equality Core Community Health Worker Project will serve as the anchor of our effort to support health ventures focused on health equity and access to health information and services. And our focus from Equality Core is moving from surviving to thriving. Many in community have been surviving for a very long time with the base access level to health information and services. And it's imperative, as we see and know, given particularly the current crisis around COVID-19 response, built, growing on the back of pre-existing conditions, that we begin to really invest in the human capacity within our communities to be able to, on the ground, support one another and provide health information and linkages to services that people most definitely, particularly during this crisis time. And so Quality Core is a national service program modeled off of the federal government AmeriCorps program. I myself am an AmeriCorps alum, having served at Wadico Children's Services for a temporary AmeriCorps posting there, based out of an organization, Wadico Children's Services, based out of Boston, Massachusetts. That experience was one of the most developmental experiences for me and really set me on a path to service and community. And then having the opportunity to serve as the executive director of the DC Commission for National and Community Service and on the board of the Association of State Service Commissions, I know firsthand the impact that national service programs can have, not only for the individuals that are serving and building their capacity and honing their skills and their vision and values for serving their community, but also in helping communities build the infrastructure that they need to address problems in the long term, because those individuals are going into communities, sharing the information and knowledge that they've received and imparting that into children, youth, young adults, and older Americans as they are engaging directly in addressing their identified community gaps. And so our community health workers will be doing just that in communities across America. The problem that we are seeking to solve is for many members of our community, and particularly members of the LGBT community, members of the African American community, young adults who are in poverty, older Americans who are struggling to live on a fixed income, but still have so much to contribute and want to see these issues addressed in their community. It's a struggle to find opportunities for young people to develop their capacity, right, to begin to develop skills and launch a career, to gain career entry access points. And for many young older Americans who are looking to still to contribute, engage in community, it's hard to find opportunities to leverage their time and talents. And so we have particularly focused on this population because we believe that not only by building their capacity can we invest in the next generation of, when we look at our young Americans, but when we look at our older Americans and linking them and intergenerational pairs through our Quality Core community health worker program, that we can deepen and strengthen bonds across the community and really build the infrastructure that matters, which is in our human potential to address problems in the long term. And so how are we going to do that? We are going to identify those in community who are already leading. We have partners across the country. We've launched this initiative with a great partner here in Washington, D.C. That's Damien Ministries. And they're a community-based health center organization who's been serving the community for over 50 years and who has really developed an amazing model engaging both young adults and older Americans in community service and engagement around health equity and access. And through this model of engagement, we've been able to collaboratively build out a remarkable community health worker training academy in partnership with a great organization that launched in Washington, D.C. last year called La Maison, which is really focused on, which had a particular focus on those members of the house and ball community who engage and dance in that community and outlet and all those other artistic platforms as a form of artistic liberation and freedom in building family and community. And so through that network of family and community, we've begun to train and build community health workers who are excited and eager and posed and ready at this time to help ensure and mitigate the impact of COVID-19, but also build the resiliency of folks across community in regards to their health access and access to services. And then once we identify them, we train them, we support them, we provide them with coaching, and then we can equip them with ongoing training and mentoring and coaching through ongoing meetings, weekly and monthly convenings, and networking with other partners across the country. We get out of their way. We know that people ultimately, those closest to the problem, who've had that lived the experience of the impact of that problem, are always best positioned to solve that problem. And so we want to invest in their capacity, train them, equip them, and then step to the side to support them in building their individual capacity and their collective capacity as community. And so who are our community health workers? They are members of the very communities that they're looking to serve and that they represent. They're individuals who have a passion for changing their lives and the lives of those around them, and who have committed to completing community health worker training, as well as participating in the Equality Corps Community Health Worker Program. They will commit to the completion of a 12-hour certified peer educator training. They commit to the completion of the Equality Corps Community Health Worker Training Academy, which provides them a series of health information-based certification trainings that will allow them to go out and provide health information in communities around HIV/AIDS prevention, opioid, overdose prevention. Some words you just struggle with sometimes, as well as other information about other pre-existing condition care, heart disease, diabetes, and others. That training, we've launched out of Washington, D.C. with 80 hours of training. Each state, as they define their community health worker standards, will have different hours of training. And we've structured that to be adaptive in supporting community health workers as they go out and serve in community health centers and community-based organizations and other settings across the country. Our community health workers are asked to serve for a minimum of 6 months, either part-time or full-time. And that part-time requirement is at least 15 hours per week for that. And the benefits to those community health workers, well, they leave with key certifications and training, one being as a certified peer educator, others being as key certifications such as mental health first aid and Narcan opioid dose reduction. And they receive training on organizational effectiveness and leadership and problem solving, so that then can help equip them for going out and being able to launch their own enterprises, or for many of them stepping into actual professional roles as community health workers or other related health services sector positions. They will receive a monthly stipend in exchange for their training and their community health worker service. And they will receive support, whether it be transportation support or communication support needed that's required in order to actually be able to fulfill their role as community health workers across community. But they aren't the only ones that benefit from the project. The local community will be equipped with additional capacity to have knowledge, skills, and tools in building new networks that weren't present in the local community by the presence of these trained community health workers. They will go out in community and build a cadre of volunteers to engage in building sustainable infrastructure and new pathways of services as they work to do community assessments and identify gap needs with organizations who are serving in those communities who can use additional bandwidth by leveraging and hosting a community health worker. And then as a result, problems are going to be solved in community, and solved from a sustainable lens because they are solved from the community and by the community. Here's a snapshot of our impact model. We truly believe that not only are we helping to build the capacity of individuals and then therefore presenting new capacity and opportunity to the community, but we really see this as an investment in human potential, and therefore as a collective investment in our community development. By providing stipend service opportunities, we're helping to uplift folks with additional economic resources to help sustain their lives. By giving them additional training, we're helping to expand their ability to use those new skills and knowledge to sustain themselves in new employment opportunities or engage in new volunteer pathways. We see the output of that is new community members connected and enrolled with additional new services and information and training and education opportunities. We have new people engaged in volunteerism and civic engagement that we know has been on decline because of increasing distrust in systems and institutions. And then those individuals who are able to leverage these opportunities to go right into employment and education and training. We want to support individuals who are looking for continued employment opportunity after their service industry, or continued volunteer opportunities, which may be the case with many of our older Americans. And then really helping them to identify personal goals and identify a vision of change for their life, so that as we go forward and continue to adapt to crisis moments like this current one, given the impact of COVID-19 and the recognition of the systemic impact of racism and oppression in America as a result of the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd, that folks will have personal goals and a vision for changing their community that they know how they can tap into and help to continue to solve evolving problems in community. And then ultimately, the impact is going to be increased economic mobility, which we know strengthens and builds strong and resilient families, communities, states, countries, and will build a strong and resilient world. So how can you support Equality Corps? You can commit to write or raise funds to support the Equality Corps program, to support the training, stipending of Equality Corps community health workers. You can join us as a coach or mentor or trainer, offering coaching services to Equality Corps members, serving as a mentor to those who are looking to transition into a particular sector of work, or those who just need additional guidance and mentorship. If you have particular training opportunities, or your company or organization has particular areas of training and expertise that you offer, and you'd like to offer that to our Equality Corps community health workers or individuals in the communities that we serve, you can sign on too as a trainer. You can become an employment partner. If you are in the health services sector or any other sector, you can come on as an employment partner and help us identify new opportunities and pathways where we can help create not only a new holding space professionally through the community health worker opportunity for individuals, but and make it a real pathway to sustainable economic development by linking it with employment opportunities in industries where those skills are clearly transferable, those human engagement skills, those problem-solving skills, right, are truly transferable in areas across the health sector and beyond: customer service, hospitality, business development, and community engagement. So help us connect people with opportunities who have been trained and who are ready and looking to step out. And then through that, you can also sponsor a industry exposure event. You can come expose members of our community health worker corps, others in community, to opportunities to learn about a particular sector or particular roles within a particular industry. So we invite you to join us. There is infinite ways to support this work and help scaling this work. In addition to writing a check, we are looking for investment to launch and scale this initiative at this key time in our country during this health crisis. But we also know we can't do it alone, and we need partners who are committed and willing and looking for real tangible opportunities that have impact in community. Talking about the economic and capital investment needed. This year, going into 2020 and 2021, we're looking for a minimum investment of $625,000 to launch the full-scaled intervention launch of the Equality Corps initiative. That will support at least 25 full-time community health workers. And if they're part-time health workers, again, we can invest and support more of them. Again, modeled after the federal government AmeriCorps program, which we are still seeking partnership with, and hope that we will have opportunities to work with AmeriCorps and national service programs across the country. We are registered as a program and signed onto serviceyear.org. Serviceyear.org is a great resource for those looking to learn about national service and national service opportunities across the country, those both federally funded and those privately supported. And so we've modeled our program similarly. Our members will serve at least 32 hours a week for at least 10 months, and those are full-time core members. And they will serve being placed in community-based organizations across the country, similar to such organizations as our leading partner, Damien Ministries with the La Maison program, or other organizations such as the Center for Black Equity, which has community-based organizations centered in cities across the country, and other community health center partners that we're excited to work with. Which we will learn more about during our Opportunity Zone sessions, where we will have many of those community-based health center and CBO partners who have particular ventures that they're looking for, in addition to willing to and have committed to hosting a community health worker. You have the opportunity to learn how you can support and invest in the work that they are doing in their local community. One of the next community-based organizations that we'll hear from in our next Opportunity Zone session is the Nights and Orchard Society out of Selma, Alabama, who are doing remarkable work, building the capacity of members of the trans community and LGBT community across Alabama and the South, but also serving the whole community by feeding members of the community in Selma and across Dallas County, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, race, or culture, every day, feeding children through in Head Start programs and community centers. And so those are the types of organizations who are helping to address immediate needs around lack of access to food insecurity, health services, and access to employment and education opportunities. And the Knights and Orchid Society is another example, and you hear about them in one of our next Opportunity Zone sessions. The cost of supporting one community health worker is for 1 year for a living stipend and support the operational organization is $25,000. For $25,000, you can support one full-time community health worker serving in community for 1 full year. And we predict that each of those community health workers will engage at minimum a number of 150 volunteers in that local community and touch up to 2,000 or more lives and individuals through information campaigns, through social media, and when we're backed and engaging more directly in person and in-person training sessions, as well as community coaching and education. So we asked you to join us. We know that financial resources, don't do it alone, as we've mentioned, all the other opportunities you can support, but they are required to invest in the capacity of individuals to ensure that they can sustain themselves and that this work can be sustained. I myself have worked across community development for a very long time over the last 20 years. I've seen many one-offs. We've done lots of one-off engagements across our country, building individuals' capacity. And then what happens is we don't build the capacity to sustain the access point for them and entry into another pathway of employment. Industries change and ebb and flow, but we have to equip our people to be adaptive, and we have to point them and link them with opportunities where they can use their gifts, talents, and abilities to not only sustain themselves, but strengthen their communities. And so I invite you to join us in the investment in a quality core. And during this critical time in our health crisis in our country, and a crisis of inequitable access across our country, that we invest in building the capacity of the true sustainable potential, which is human potential, that is available in each and every one of us, regardless of life circumstances, race, sexual orientation, gender identity, or where you started from. So I ask you, please consider joining us. You can visit and learn more at equalitycore.org, and I'll be sharing my contact information at the end of the presentation. Thank you. A lot of information, I know. The next project that's going to be powering these Opportunity Zone sessions is the Black Equity ConFab. The mission of the Black Equity ConFab is amplifying and elevating the voices of Black and people of color entrepreneurs and social sector innovators who are solving problems and scaling solutions. The vision behind the Black Equity ConFab has really come out of my work as a coach, supporting individuals and entrepreneurs, and particularly those in social enterprise and nonprofit organizations, and those seeking to link community service and nonprofits with social enterprise and business industry, and particularly Black and people of color entrepreneurs who are struggling, many of whom had great recognition at times through news, media, and announcements at key moments where it was pivotal, or great opportunities to amplify the voices of Black leaders. But then after those moments, oftentimes do not have the sustained infrastructure that actually sustain and support their enterprise in order to actually be able to successfully scale and grow. And many of them, that's because they haven't been able to break through barriers and accessing potential investors that are looking for those particular type of investments and ventures that they have launched, or because they haven't been able to identify the correct strategic partners and supply side solutions that are in alignment with not only their business bottom line, but really also their cultural philosophy and framework, particularly those that are looking to not only do good business and make a profit, but have an impact in community. And so through the Black Equity ConFab, we will help to break through those barriers by linking social enterprise and business venture operators with potential investors and other supply side solutions and coaches and others who can help them break through those barriers and scale those enterprises and do it collectively, right? We know that the scripture says where two or more are gathered together. So we can start with two, and through two, we can build and link a collective and to build a sustainable enterprise. So what is a ConFab? A ConFab references an informal private conversation. To engage in informal private conversation, we are having a ConFab. We are virtually ConFabbing this afternoon. And again, thank you for joining me. And so what I have recognized through my experience is that yes, through transactional relationships, I have money. I want to give it to somebody to achieve something. I need money. Funder, can you give me money? We can actually create things. but it is actually in the ability to establish a conversational relationship where I can truly understand what you desire your investment to go to, and the work and the impact of the work that I desire to do, and finding that true alignment that we can truly find sustainability and scale. And so the ConFab starts by actually forging relationship. We start with investors that are clearly looking to invest in particular areas that have particular desired return in the ways, whether financial return or cultural or community impact return, and pair them and align them with organizations and ventures that have those that have missions and impact driven statements that directly align, and then help and support them and guide them in setting a strategic path for leveraging those relationships. And through that, we believe and know that we can not only see a lot of one-off or catalytic scale of opportunities that then plateau, but real sustainable impact, both on the private industry and economic side for Black communities and communities of color, but then also on the social enterprise and community development engagement side. So that is why we have launched the Black Equity ConFab. And so why the Black Equity ConFab? We know that Black and POC-led ventures are increasing. Prior to COVID-19, we know that there had been an uptick in social enterprise. And due to the gig economy and individuals becoming more individuals becoming individual contractors, relying upon that income as sole income, more individuals are going into enterprise and are need of supports and investment and guidance in order to have those ventures and enterprise and their entrepreneurship continue to sustain. We know that some ventures grow and launch and scale, and they serve a particular purpose and plateau. But those entrepreneurs are visionary leaders that will continue to stay entrepreneurial and invest in other ventures. And we need to continue, and we need to scale our opportunity and deepen the access and ability to link them. We know that there's a lack of direct access, as I said, to partners because a variety of barriers that we know are tied to the inequities included in that come out of racism and oppression economically and otherwise across our country. And being able to be very specific about investing in Black and people of color entrepreneurs. We're looking for partners who are clearly looking to and authentically invest in Black and people of color entrepreneurs. And then we want to facilitate those connections. So what is the ConFab opportunity? The ConFab opportunity will be virtual convenings and presentation, the opportunity zone events, where those leaders will have the opportunity to submit their profile, to have that shared with venture leaders who are a part of our network, who've submitted a venture leader or mentor profile. And then those venture leaders will have the opportunity to present that during our monthly or bi-weekly opportunity zone sessions. Who is invited? Well, venture leaders are Black and people of color entrepreneurs, creatives, makers, thought leaders who have a specific need for strategic investment or a need for contractual services or strategic partnership to support their growth and scale. We're looking for folks who have really clear defined goals and defined metrics around the investment needed to help them achieve their goals. We're looking for industry mentors who are industry leaders who have driven innovation and success and coaching and mentoring others to do the same. And then we are in need of investors, those who are looking to invest at any scale. There is no investment in this work across communities that is too small. All our organizations and all these ventures need capacity at very different levels and at different phases. And so there is no capital investment that is too small for a particular project. And so we need those investors who are looking to make large scale investments or from an organization or an investment group or an individual. But we're also looking at those who may say, I have some disposable income and I'm looking to make a one-time and donation-based investment or sponsorship into something related to this event. You could sponsor a industry exposure event. You could sponsor training and coaching for community health workers. You could sponsor training and coaching for a particular target demographic. Maybe you have entrepreneurs in your local community that you would like to support and identify. Maybe there's an entrepreneur or a venture leader on a board that you support, that you would like to support, that you can identify and want to sponsor. So there is no sponsorship level too big or too small. And we invite all investors to join us. The benefits? Well, for our venture leaders, we'll have access to a cross-sector network of leaders and investors. We'll have the ability to break through sort of operational barriers, which sometimes are just time and access. The Black Equity ConFab team will help schedule network meetings and Zoom meetings or in-person meetings when we're back doing those. We will help answer questions and facilitate those connections between interested parties. And then we will provide access to industry mentors and professional coaching for those venture leaders who are interested in coaching. We'll reach out to folks in our network who are in alignment with that particular sector or industry or particular set of problems. And we can help identify and help link if you have those venture leaders that may have a particular mentor in mind that we may be able to reach out to on their behalf. It is our goal to break down barriers, to really be a one-stop shop by leveraging partnerships with the other coaching organizations and other business industry partners, such as the Marlowe Company, which is a full-service human resources and HR management company, and others. We are able to provide back office services on the nonprofit side through relationships with great organizations such as the Center for Nonprofit Advancement, who's based here in Washington, D.C. We were able to link partners with great back office nonprofit supports and some of those administrative supports and financial services supports needed to ensure that folks, organizations, and individual enterprises can operate at a high level and be effective and efficient, and that on the side of our investors and donors, that those resources and those investments are guarded securely and being monitored and evaluated, that they're going to achieve the impacts that they have been set out. So we invite you to join us in this effort. I cannot do it alone. Our partners and I cannot do it alone. Damien Ministries, the Center for Nonprofit Advancement, community-based placement partners like the Center for Black Equity, the Knights and Orchid Society. Our partners, our economic development and education partners at the Pearlie Mae Group and the Clay Johnson Foundation. We can't do it alone. We need other support. We need investor partners. We need outreach education partners and promotion partners just to spread the word of this initiative. And so I can be reached. My email is there. If you're joining me, probably you know how to contact me. But if you've come to live or and you don't know, my email is jdeshawn@inspiredmuse.com, and you can reach me there. And there's a phone number if you want to set up a call, but email me and we can schedule an opportunity session to be able to go in more detail about the Equality Core Community Health Worker Project and the Black Equity ConFab and how you can connect with us. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to stop my share here. I don't see that I have any questions in the chat. But thank you so much for joining us today. I ask, if you will, please do spread the word. We will be posting this and sharing this information across LinkedIn and other platforms as we continue to seek partners and invest in the capacity of individuals to sustain themselves and strengthen and build the resiliency of our communities, our great country, and our amazing world. I'm Jeffrey Deshawn, the founder and creator of Inspired Muse Coaching and Management, and the vision creator behind Equality Core and the Black Equity ConFab. I hope you will join me in this work. Thank you so much, and have a great day.